Okay, here we are again. This is GCE uh, Buddhism, paper 4 at Excel, and we are looking at the life of the Buddha, in particular what are called the acts of the Buddha. We've looked at the conception. This is now the birth of the Buddha, the birth of the Buddha. Now, the birth of the Buddha is absolutely chock full of religious symbolism, and depending on what exact version of the story you take, especially some of the later texts, it's even more miraculous and even more full of stuff. According to custom at the time, women returned to their father's, their house, their parents' home for birth. And Queen Mahamaya was traveling to the neighboring kingdom of Kelia, where her father was the king. And on the way, she passed, so she'd left Kapilavastu. She got as far as, not that far really, a village a park called Lumbini, and there the queen ordered a halt so she could rest. And it was only a rest, but as she lay in the shade of a tree, she gave birth to her son. And the story is a striking one. The story of the birth of the Buddha is a striking one. It said, and there's full of miraculous stuff here, that Queen Mahamaya gave birth standing up, leaning gracefully against a sola or sala tree. The baby emerged not from her womb, but from her right side. No blood or birth waters of any kind appeared. Miraculously, 2 jets of water appeared from the sky, one to cool and the other one to warm for the bathing, the baby and the mother. And the earth trembled to mark the event. As soon as he was born, the Buddha was able to stand up, took several steps, each of the 4 directions of the compass. This is seen as symbolizing the fact that his teachings would spread in all directions. And he spoke, that this would be his last rebirth, and that he'd come to tell everybody how to end suffering. So Queen Maya, or Mahamaya, is said to have passed away only 7 days after the birth, and to have been reborn in, at least in Mahayana Buddhism, in a heaven as a Bodhisattva, and was the Buddha himself, or the Bodhisattva of the Buddha, was cared for by his mother's sister, who was also married to his father, her name Mahaprajapati Kotami. So in terms of names, just to pin that down, the Buddha just means the awakened or enlightened one, and anyone can be a Buddha, or at least a few can in Theravada, and many can in Mahayana. Siddhartha was the name given to him at birth. It means fulfillment of wishes. Gautama, or Gautama, depending on Sanskrit or Pali, was just a family name, the surname. So he was Siddhartha Gautama. Buddhists often append the name to Buddha, Shakya Muni, meaning sage of the Shakyas, sage of the Shakyas. He's called Buddha Shakya Muni to distinguish him from all the other Buddhas, especially in Mahayana Buddhism. And the Buddha just means enlightened one, as we've said. And in some traditions of Buddhism, it's only used of the Buddha. Kush notes further that the tribe, the Shakyas, inhabit the area in the northeast of India, on the present-day border with Nepal and the foothills, the Himalayas, and he belonged to the Kshatriya class, or the ruling nobility in the Hindu caste system. All the forms of the legend claim that his father was the king, and that this is claimed by the Buddha in the Pali Canon. A king Shuddhodana by name was my father, and Queen Maya by name was the mother that bore me. The royal capital of the city of Kapilavastu, and all of this is described in the Dinga Nikayana 14. However, modern scholars believe that the Shakya tribe was ruled by an assembly of tribal elders, evidence for which is shown in the Pali Canon itself. Therefore, Shuddhodana was probably the elected head of an aristocratic hereditary ruling class, according to Ling in the Buddha 1976, page 108. The local leader rather than a very great king. This exaggeration is a natural way for the legend to develop, especially as monarchs took over from republics as the form of government in the centuries following the Buddha. So it's hard to say exactly what the nature of the tribe was. Was it still an old style, small, tribal eldership? Was it this brand new monarchy with a ruling king? Perhaps a bit of both, perhaps a transition period. Side, in his commentary, suggests that the legends we learn about the Buddha is that he is born on the full moon of May and in the Garden of Lumbini, yes. And his conception was 10 months earlier, and that the elephant dream was part of that. And is referenced in the Pali Canon that his conception occurred miraculously through the Bodhisattva, or Buddha to be, descending directly from the heaven, where he spent his penultimate life in his mother's womb with no mention of his father being involved, i.e., a virgin birth. Some versions stress this, especially Lativastari, one of these later biographies of the Buddha, that the queen conceived while undertaking a temporary vow of chastity, the virgin birth again. But the earlier biography, Ashvaghosha's version, doesn't have such a miraculous conception. Other miraculous details of the birth found even in the Pali Canon included 10-month pregnancy, miraculous jets of water, birth from her side while standing totally clean, immediately taking 7 steps, proclaiming his mission, shining a light, an earthquake, attendance and homage of deities. Wow. And the story is a good example of myth, meaning the message of the story is symbolic, that it was no ordinary man, but one unique to our world. Now, just before we leave, just some reflective thinking. Myth and the importance of miraculous events. What about these particular miraculous events? The bowing trees, the talking babies, the instant lotus flowers at the feet. What do these things mean for Buddhists? What is this part of the story trying to teach Buddhists about the significance and importance of the Buddha? About, in particular, perhaps things like rebirth and so on. Do think about that. Thanks very much for listening. Next one will be on the early life of the Buddha in the palace.